Alright guys, welcome to the next video. What we're going to be doing here is focusing on Salesforce assignment number 7. This is going to be pretty similar to what we did in the previous video, Salesforce assignment 6. And basically what we're going to be doing here is using the Google's geocoding JSON API and Salesforce JSON parsing method to have an HTTP response of type JSON to be returned. We're also going to be retrieving the latitude and longitude values from this response after the user enters in a proper city and state. So we're going to have an application that looks like this. The client is going to go into the application, add a city, add a state, and once they press the submit button, they will retrieve back an HTTP response that you see here. We're also going to be traversing through this JSON response and pulling in a latitude and a longitude, or extracting a latitude and longitude. So as I said before, it's pretty similar to what we did in a previous video, but the only difference is that we're going to be retrieving a JSON response back. So without further ado, let's jump right into the code. Alright guys, so welcome to the coding portion of Salesforce Assignment 7. This is going to be pretty similar to what we did in the last video, Salesforce Assignment 6. There are only just a couple of changes that you need to make in order to allow this to work. So in Salesforce Assignment 7, we're going to be dealing with JSON. So the first thing that you need to do is go to the top of your class and make sure that it's named Salesforce Assignment 7 or whatever you have your Apex class named as. You then want to scroll down until you get to this method. Yeah, this method right here. Yeah, get HTTP response. This is the method that you want to go into. As you can see, it looks pretty similar to what we had in Salesforce Assignment 6. But what you need to do is go into here, and under the request.set endpoint, you want to set this to JSON. In our last video, we set it to XML, but for this particular assignment, we're going to be setting this to JSON because we're trying to get ourselves a JSON response. And also, obviously, you would have to enter in your API key in order to make, to allow everything to work properly. All right, so that's one thing that you need to change. Another thing that you need to do is go into your process Latin long method, and under this if conditional statement, what you need to do is actually add all of this code here that I have. All right, so inside, let me zoom this in for you guys. Give me a second. All right, so inside of this if conditional statement, we're obviously basically just going to check for the city and the state and just make sure that it's not empty or null, and that there is a city and state that has been populated. Now, the first thing that we need to do is create ourselves an HTTP response object which will hold the response. So we're going to create an object, HTTP response, give it a name, and then from there, we're going to go get HTTP response and then pass in the city and state. This is going to give, this actual object here is going to hold the JSON response that we get back after the request has been sent. The next thing that we want to do is create ourselves a JSON parser. And this JSON parser will parse and analyze the JSON string. So from the response that we get back, we are creating this parser which will analyze the JSON string by passing in response.getBody. Next, what we want to do is create a map. Now, as you know, a map consists of key value pairs. And what we're doing here is we're creating a map that will create key value pairs among strings and objects in the JSON that we have. So basically this response that we get back, we're basically creating key value pairs of this. The next thing that we want to do is actually create a list of objects that holds everything from JSON response map from the above. So we're going to create a list. The list is going to be of type object. We then want to name this list all results. And then we want to set it equal to results.getResults. And this is going to be of type list object. So for this results right here that you see, this results, this actually comes from the JSON. And I'm going to show you that. Give me a second. All right, so just expand some of these. All right. All right, so as you can see up here, we have, when we go to, when we send a request, we get this response back. And we have this results right here. And as you can see, we're passing it here. So we're going all results and we're setting this equal to results.getResults. So it's going to return all of this information inside of results, pretty much. And the next thing that we want to do is actually traverse through all the result elements or objects until we get to the point where we find the information that we're looking for. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking for a nested object called geometry. So in results, if I close all this up, we're going to see this here. Results, 0, and then we're going to go to geometry. Inside of geometry, we're going to have this nested object called location. Just close a couple of these other things out to make it easier to read. All right, so we go into results, go to 0, go to geometry, and then from there go into location. And these are the actual values that we need to be returned because that's pretty much what we're looking for in JSON. So in order to do that, what we need to do is actually go through the nested objects here. So we have a for loop. And I'm saying for every string result nested object name and result nested object dot key set, we're going to make our way through each one of these nested objects. Now we need to find the object name of geometry first because we're starting off at the results, but we need to make our way through until we get to geometry. Right here. And once we get to geometry, what we want to do is create a map of geometry as well as a map of location. So the map of geometry is basically going to access the geometry object, and then we have a map of location which is going to access the location object. And inside this location object is where we're going to find the latitude and the longitude values. So what we want to do next is for every angular direction inside the location object, we want to assign that to the requested value here. So we're going to start off with this if conditional, and this is pretty similar to what we did in Salesforce Assignment 6, but basically inside of this method, if the value of latitude is passed inside of this method up here, then what we want to do is set the value that we retrieve from the response to the requested value. So as I said, as you can see, it's pretty similar to what we did in the previous exercise, but due to the fact that we're working with JSON, there's a slightly different way that we have to go about retrieving that information as compared to how we did it using XML. So For latitude, so basically for latitude, if the value of latitude is passed in, we're basically just going to be retrieving that lat value from the response and then assigning it to the requested value. If there's a longitude that is passed into this method, we're going to do the same, go into the JSON response and retrieve the LNG value and assign that to the requested value. And that's pretty much it. There's not a lot that you have to change. You just basically have to have a general understanding of how this works. And hopefully I explained it to you guys clearly, because that's pretty much all you really have to do. As far as the visual force page, that can pretty much stay the same. The visual force page, the only thing you will probably have to change is just the title, the page title, and then the controller, because due to the fact that we're actually in another assignment, you would have to make sure that all these assignment names pretty much sync up with each other, as well as just section header. Salesforce Assignment 7. All right. So what I'm going to do now is actually preview this and show you how it works. All right, guys, so this is Salesforce Assignment 7. This is the actual application. Then we're just going to enter in our city and state, press submit. And as you can see, a JSON response is returned. We have a longitude as well as a latitude that is returned. And to just show you that these sync up, we go into geometry, we go into location, and then we go to lat, and then we go to long, LAT and LNG. So for our latitude, we have 33.74899954 latitude, 33.74899954, and then the longitude is negative 843879.824. And this is pretty much it. This, as I said before, it's pretty straightforward. This video is probably going to be a little bit shorter because we already have a lot of our work done for us, which we've already done in Salesforce Assignment 6. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, just let me know. All right, guys, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video if you've learned something here. And also, don't forget to subscribe. And see you in the next one.